So net neutrality just got repealed and Angry Joe is pretty pissed off about it. Before I get into that video, I'd like to share with you some tweets that me and Joe had together. This happened before net neutrality was repealed. Let's start. Hunter Strickland writes, Angry Joe. Hey Joe, I just finished watching your net neutrality video. After that, I watched a 2-part video by Mr. Dapperton, who gave a very different take on it, and that left me neutral about it. Here's the link. I'd love to hear your opinion on part 1 and part 2. Angry Joe writes, a few are so paranoid of smart, obvious regulation, they will argue against anything with government slapped on it, but we wouldn't have the net without some government oversight. Hell, phone companies could have prevented new dial-up internet service providers from even connecting us customers. Now, as far as phone companies and internet service providers doing unfavorable things to your internet and to your phone services, that is not going to help their business. If they do something that you don't like, you just don't spend your money at that business and they go out of business. No need for regulations. That's how capitalism works. Capitalism has the people regulate the market instead of the government regulating the market. You don't need government to regulate the market. That's just redundant because the people already regulate it. Now, the common counter-argument to this is, well, some areas there's only one ISP. Okay, you're acting like that's common. That's extremely rare. And when it does happen, it's because of net neutrality. Because of all the excessive regulations, net neutrality costs small businesses billions of dollars. That's why very rarely, sometimes you'll see some ISPs go without competition at all. To get rid of this, you need to get rid of excessive regulations like net neutrality. You do that and you'll start to see tons of ISPs flooding the market, which will give you plenty of competition to go to if one of these ISPs try to screw you. Remember when EA Games was not really caring about the customer and then they made microtransactions up the ass in all their latest titles? Well, what happened to them? They lost $3 billion. They almost went bankrupt. Did the government need to come in and make them change the way that they run their business? No, you, the people, made them change the way that they do business. It didn't require government regulations that choke the competition. No. All it required was you to vote with your dollar. Now you may say, oh, well, that's only 5% of what EA makes. How much do you think EA gets to keep all the money that they make? Do you think they have zero overhead costs? Their profit margin is probably similar to Walmart, where only 3% of what they make is profit. So if it's 3% and they lost 5%, that means they had to work the entire year basically for free at a loss. Now, you may say, oh, well, businesses work at a loss all the time, so that doesn't really matter. But if they piss off their customers and they're never going to make their money back, then they can't work at a loss. They can only work at a loss if someday they're going to make their money back and their customers are going to come back. So what does this mean? For a business to stay in business, they have to keep their customer happy. Period. People love voting, right? It makes them feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Well, you can vote in capitalism. You vote with your wallet in capitalism. Don't like a way a business is running? Then don't feed that business money. It's that simple. Voting with your dollar is way more effective than voting for a politician who will vote for you. Probably not in your best interest. Probably in the corporations and the lobbyists' interests. And that's precisely why I don't like big government. Big government, they get bribed by big corporations. This is called lobbying. And they accept this money, and then in return, they let the big corporations write the laws. Then the big corporations get to create monopolies, which extort you, the middle class, and the poor. You may be wondering, how do they do that? How do they extort the middle class and the poor? Well, they have a monopoly, meaning there's no competitors, meaning that there's only one place where you can get that product, them. That means you have to do business with them, meaning they could skyrocket the prices as much as they want, and you have to pay for it. And that's exactly what the ultra-rich do. They do that, and then they extort the middle class and the poor. making the rich richer and the poor poorer. If massive government went away, the rich would have no power. And that's the way it should be, where everybody's on an equal playing field. Well, the only way that's ever going to happen is if we have less government. But what Angry Joe wants is big government. Big government could be lobbied. Big government loves that lobbying money. They love to be bribed. They'll take that money. They'll allow the rich to write the laws. They'll screw you over in a second for that money. That's why we shouldn't have rulers, aka massive government. But notice that he said that I'm paranoid about government when he's clearly paranoid about businesses. He said the internet wouldn't exist without government. Now that's paranoid. If government didn't exist, people would still have internet. Why? Because it's profitable to make and sell internet. I find it funny that he thinks I'm paranoid when he has all these crazy paranoid ideas of what's going to happen without net neutrality. He thinks that we're going to have to pay $15 to get on Twitter, $15 to get on Facebook, $10 to get on YouTube, $10 to get on Discord. You know, all these crazy ideas. But what's funny is none of these things happened before net neutrality. Just so you know, the internet existed for most of its life without net neutrality. And we didn't have any of these problems. So why does he think they're just magically going to happen? It's because he's paranoid. I find it hilarious that he says I'm paranoid about government when his arch nemesis in his videos is Corporate Commander, whom is a greedy capitalist who cares just about money and he doesn't care about customers. Yeah, I shit you not.
Oh goody, my income checks are here. Let's see, Activision. All the revenue from online classes. Oh, that's a big one. And, oh yes, Capcom. What the hell?
Your day has finally come, Corporate Commander.
Angry Joe?
With fantastic games such as Skyrim, the world no longer needs a villain such as yourself.
Businesses are literally villains in his eyes. Now, do I hate government like Angry Joe hates corporations? No, I don't hate government. I just think it's ineffective. So no, I am not paranoid about government, but he is absolutely paranoid about businesses. Now, the reason why I'm against massive regulations like net neutrality is because it stifles competition. It costs small ISPs billions of dollars. Meaning they can't compete, meaning that there is no small ISPs. This basically means there's a monopoly. There's a monopoly for the ISPs. There's no competition. If there's no competition, that means they can charge as much as they want because there's no competitors for you to go to instead. So to get internet, you gotta pay these ridiculous extortion prices. That's what sucks about huge government regulations. Now, here's Angry Joe saying, but the real smoking gun is the ridiculous argument that ISPs won't invest anymore and these regulations are too strict for these poor multi-billion-dollar people. Yet here those very same ISPs say Title II will have little to no effect on investment. Well, Angry Joe, I read that article. It's talking about large ISPs. It's talking about publicly traded ISPs. Of course, they're not going to be affected. They have the money to pay. Like you said, they're multi-billionaires. But the smaller ISPs that are trying to come up, well, they can't afford it. Think of the regulations as huge startup costs. Big companies could afford it, but small ISPs can't. That's who it affects. It affects the smaller ISPs. So it makes it harder for competition to come into the marketplace. And you know what no competition means, right? Higher prices. You're afraid of being extorted, but you're making it so you get extorted.
Okay, so net neutrality is dead. We need to get it back. You know, it's really important. I mean, without it, this is what your internet is going to look like. I think this is like a glitch or something right now on YouTube, right? So I was, doing some research and I was watching some various videos And watch what happens when I watch Jim Sterling's net neutrality video. I hope this happens
So rather
again.
unsurprisingly, the FCC has voted to get rid of net neutrality, meaning that Comcast and its scumbag ilk can piss on us with impunity.
Yep.
While the FCC's Ajit Pai continues to lie about how we're only rolling back changes to 2015,
Oh, I
the
fucking
rest of
hate
us have
that
to
argument.
worry about our
I'll
connections
tell
being
you how to
throttled,
counter
about
that
being
argument, why that
railroaded
argument's
into
bullshit.
paying for internet fast lanes, about companies deciding what video.
That's what you're gonna expect.
This is the internet.
And you call me paranoid. Dude, Jim Sterling did that. He added that buffering symbol in there. It's a joke, Angry Joe.
This is going to be your internet now. It's not going to happen today. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen 6 months. It's not going to happen a year or two. This is probably going to be down along the line when shit has calmed down and these corporations know that people are fucking complacent again. Okay? This is going to happen 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 10 years, 20 years. The internet is going to look different if we don't have net neutrality. How is this relevant? When people are talking shit about the big companies that are running your fucking shit, this is what's going to happen, okay? They're going to throttle it. They're going to slow it down, and you're going to have to sit here and wait for the rest to fucking load because it's not in a fucking fast lane, you see?
Am I saying that no ISP will ever try it? No, I'm saying that only the stupid ones will. And when they do, they'll quickly go out of business. When everybody chooses to do business with the person that doesn't extort them. You have nothing to worry about, Joe, because you have complete control over what businesses get to exist and what businesses die. With net neutrality gone, there's no more stifling regulations keeping costs high. So small ISPs could actually afford to pop up, and there will be plenty of competition to choose from. So if somebody does start throttling, you can go to a smaller ISP that doesn't throttle, that will gladly take your money. And the bad company with the bad business practices will go out of business.
Or I didn't buy the YouTube Premiere package that I get the
What?
better speeds because I use YouTube a lot. Or I've gone over my allotment of whatever because I'm trying to bring y'all a show, but now I can't watch other shit.
I'm pretty sure you can see Jeep Pie's video he made after. And there's
Oh
no
my-
loading time on that piece of shit that
That
came
guy
out.
is
Did you see it?
seriously. I saw it.
That
It's
was
such a piece of
ridiculous.
fucking shit. The points in it tells you that he thinks, and the people that support him thinks you are fucking stupid.
He simply believes in the free market as I do. He's not some evil corporate sellout.
He literally thinks that all of America is stupid, and sometimes I think it's sometimes he's right, but we have to prove him wrong. You have to stand up. You have to say no, Ajit Pai. You know, you have to say no, fucking agenda, the corporate agenda, and sometimes Republicans are towing this line, this pro-corporate bullshit, to pull the wool over your eyes and say, oh, this is good, especially that one argument about, oh, it wasn't like this before 2015. We're just trying to go back to 2015. I got a perfect counter argument for that. But look at this shit. It's not fucking loading. And you know what's going to happen is right there at the bottom part, you're going to get a little advertisement popping up while this is trying to load, a little advertisement popping up from Verizon saying,
Upgrade.
No, it's going to say, yeah, it'll say upgrade if you want a different package, but it'll say experiencing slow load speeds on YouTube. Why not try VerizTube, right? You know what I'm saying, Joe? And no.
And remember, guys, Angry Joe said, I'm paranoid. He's sitting here worried about this freaking buffering, and it's fake. It's a joke, and he doesn't even realize it. He's so paranoid he thinks it's real. He's also worried about having to pay to access certain websites. Remember, the internet has existed most of its life without net neutrality, and these things never happened. Angry Joe is paranoid, yet he claims I am.
Oh, no. I just really can't stand the argument. You know, the anti-government people are the only ones that are in support of this, but they don't realize that they're fucking licking the balls of the corporate interests. Sometimes regulation is needed. You can't let things go out of control. And even those of you that support limited government realize that, yeah, sometimes regulation is needed. This is one of those times. Otherwise, the internet is going to fundamentally change the way that we consume it in a negative way. They're going to fuck you. How many times do we have examples of, you know, giving them a small little thing and them taking a mile and going super far? So
wait. You know who's really famous for doing that? It's not corporations, buddy. It's government. And remember how I said net neutrality is redundant because the people already regulate the market. Well, not only that, so does the FTC. If people start getting throttled, the FTC will stop it. If ISPs start charging for other people's websites, yeah, the FTC is going to get involved and they're going to stop them. No net neutrality needed. That's just redundant. So why even have net neutrality? All it does is just cost ISPs that are trying to start up billions of dollars, which means less competition. Less competition means higher prices because people have a monopoly and they could just charge as much as they want. So your main concern has to do with prices. That's what you keep telling everybody. Oh, it's going to be expensive without net neutrality. Net neutrality is going to cost ISPs a lot of money. And that money is going to be coming out of your wallet. So if you want internet costs to be low, then the ISPs have to be paying a low cost too. So you don't want these stifling net neutrality regulations. All right, thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next episode.